The Senate is preparing to scale back banking regulations that were passed after the 2008 financial crisis. One America's Alex Salvi has more on the bipartisan effort to repeal the Obama-era measure.
The Senate is set to vote on a bill to ease banking regulations, put in place under the Dodd-Frank reform law.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
The Dow traders are standing there watching in amazement.
It was the worst day since the crash of 1987.
Life, as most Americans know it, is about to change.
The law was passed in 2010 after the global financial crisis. Republicans say the legislation went too far and is overly burdensome for smaller banks looking to lend.
This bipartisan bill tailors regulations based on a bank's actual level of risk instead of Dodd-Frank's one-size-fits-all system that ensnares smaller regional and mid-sized banks.
Democrats, on the other hand, say it provides critical protections for consumers and taxpayers.
It takes about 25 of the 40 largest banks in this country and just moves them off the special watch list and treats them like they were tiny little community banks that just couldn't do any harm to the economy.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told reporters the Senate will vote on legislation put forward by Banking Committee Chairman Mike Crapo. The bill would raise the standard to which banks are considered risky and thus subject to stricter oversight, from $50 billion in assets to $250 billion in assets. It also exempts banks with less than $10 billion in assets from rules banning proprietary trading, while maintaining strict standards for big banks.
The banks that caused the major challenge, the largest institutions, the so-called SIFI banks, we need to keep very strict standards in place regulating those institutions. This legislation does that.
GOP leadership looks at the bill as a top priority. The success of the bill seems probable, with every Republican likely on board and 13 Senate Democrats signing on as backers.
But I expect that sometime either Monday or Tuesday we will move to the first vote, which will probably be a cloture vote.
A major hurdle lies in the House of Representatives, with Republicans attempting to reconcile a bill that can pass through the chamber without losing Democrat support. House Financial Services Chairman Jeb Hensarling has proposed dozens of smaller bills loosening the regulations, but hopes he can put an end to the Obama-era law.
And so what we know under Dodd-Frank is the big banks have gotten bigger, the small banks have gotten fewer. Our economy has lagged. It codified too big to fail into law. The House says no.
Senator Crapo is considering adding bipartisan House bills to a Senate version to allow its quick passage instead of having the two chambers hash out the differences. This would allow President Trump to quickly sign the bill into law, as he has already shown his support for deregulation in hopes of stimulating the economy. Alex Salvi, One America News.
We can use your help. Call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call today.